Now I'm hoping to learn a little bit about like the history of Venus. Can you tell me what Venus was like culturally before the cataclysm happened about 800,000 years ago?
Very advanced compared to what you have now. However, Atlantis also to some degree was influenced by civilization, as many others were on this spot interacting, doing business, commerce. We had a lot of structures that you would today still consider sci-fi, very rounded structures, many of them. We also had some towering buildings that we are still using today in our civilization that are perhaps more sharper. However, overall, very round buildings. We had high sophisticated technology that you might be familiar even from some of your science fiction novels ideas because they are very often based on your own scientific research, which is going in a similar direction. And there's also naturally ingrained in the DNA of your kind because you remember, again, because you have some of our DNA or quite a bit, and therefore you are also able to remember some of those aspects and experiences, in other words, and therefore bring them back to yours. And in general, a lot of confusion in your planet is due to the fact that you have memories from different civilizations and trying to bring them all into the idea of creating them together, which I understand can be complicated. However, we didn't have that particular problem, and we created a certain civilization with what you are perhaps very much interested in terms of technicalities, flying cars, etc. We did have a lot of commerce, however, there was also the whole idea of being corrupt. The problem of corruption also existed, which was done away with after we established a non-monetary system. It's vastly distant from what you're used to, but we went to similar stages of conflicts that you're aware of on your Earth. Obviously, we still have something like a military. As I said, I'm a commander of a fleet or of a ship. However, it is much different than perhaps your NATO forces, for example, due to the governmenting structure being different, which comes from our understanding of the civilization that we have learned when we lived there. So we learned our lessons, so to speak. Much of the civilization was also underground, but not all of it.
Okay. What was your government structure like shortly before the cataclysm?
We had something you perhaps consider a senate.
Did you have one particular leader, like a president or something?
That was exchanging. It was always among a certain elite of people that was selecting a certain president, but it was more open than your world currently. People knew that those groups were in charge, and members of those groups could only become what you perhaps would call a president on your world. So it wasn't lineage like a king. It was more like a president, but it was still somebody who had to be a part of what you can perhaps consider an aristocracy.
Okay, was this aristocracy connected to what we call the Anunnaki?
Not necessarily, but again, that's a term from your word, from what I know, that's very broad.
Okay. So what was the human population of Venus around the time of the cataclysm, shortly before it?
Not nearly as many as on your planet. A few 100 million.
Okay. How much of Venus was covered in water before the cataclysm?
Large areas.
About the same as Earth?
Not quite. We had more rivers.
Okay.
Again, I'm talking about our history here.
Right.
I didn't grow up on Venus, I'm just also reading from or have awareness of our history.
Okay. So do you know what actually caused Venus to be devastated? I mean, was it kind of like asteroids from Maldak just crashed into it, or was it more like Venus's orbit just got pulled closer to the sun?
Both happened. The explosion pushed the planet in out of its orbit.
Okay. Um, do you know roughly how long it took after the destruction of Maldak before Venus's surface became pretty much like it is today?
Certainly a few years in your own counting from your own planet, however, like it is today, but alterations that became problematic happened almost immediately.
Okay. Do you know roughly how many people died during the cataclysm?
Many.
Most of them?
Over half of the population, yes.
Okay.
So at least a few 100,000.
Okay. Now, I know there are a lot of underground cities in Venus today. Are there any dome cities on the surface in the third dimension?
No, not from what I'm aware of, at least not the surface.
Okay.
Possibly on the ground, however.
Okay. So, what is the government of the Venusian civilization like today? I mean, is there one, I don't know, one president or something, or does each city kind of have its own leader?
We have our own leaders. Again, they're being exchanged, those males and females. Currently, it's a female, however. There's also something like a senate, so there's not like one person has the control of the whole civilization. There are numerous people of an, again, what you perhaps would call an aristocracy that have a certain influence on the society more than others, and they decide who is currently perhaps what you would call a representative.
Okay.
Also, some people, again, like for example, in military or commerce or research, depending what stage the civilization is currently in, are given more power. So some area of society become more politically inclined to take leadership in their own hand, depending if we are going through a military conflict or if we are on a trading route, if the whole civilization is currently more involved, what you perhaps would consider a trading war or a trading. Again, we don't have a monetary system like you do, but sometimes there's a particular high time of where commerce plays a larger role as it does on your planet, especially in your so-called capitalist system for quite a while, from what I'm aware. And other times there's research that's very necessary because society needs an update. So whatever branch of our society, and there are many others you might not be even imagining are possible, that you don't have, takes the leadership of this current society is both inclined towards this direction, and it is done with mutual agreement among what you would call this aristocracy.
Okay.
But again, we don't necessarily have a king. It's always someone who's being chosen among this group.
Right. Can you describe how big the few largest underground cave regions in Venus are in comparison to any particular continent or country on Earth?
Again, I haven't been there myself physically, but your own North American content is likely similar to under tunneled to a similar degree.
Okay. Um, I'm confused. Are you saying that like there are underground caves that are as big as North America, or are you just saying that Venus itself is undertunneled to the same degree that North America is undertunneled?
The latter.
Okay.
But yes, there are larger cave structures that could fit in giant cities from your planet, from what I'm aware of, because they have fit in large cities.
Right.
But I'm not aware if they're still all intact or if some of those have crumbled.
So like yeah, in talking about those really big cave, those really big caverns. I mean, can you say how big they are, like in comparison to any particular country on Earth?
Perhaps your New York City would fit.
Okay. How tall is the tallest one in terms of kilometers, roughly?
I couldn't tell you exactly, perhaps 3 kilometers.
Okay. Um, so do
But
the
I'm guessing here as well.
right. So do these underground caves have forests and lakes and grassy areas?
Yes, those exist, but some of those were also artificially created and likely have all vanished by now.
Okay. What are the buildings made of that are in the third dimension?
They were made largely of metal, but also of natural some structure. Well, I wouldn't call it stone necessarily, but something like it. Also, something we consider perhaps an alloy where stone. There's also something from your world. I'm not sure what to call it, where stone is merged with metal.
Okay. how tall are the tallest buildings?
We keep talking in present tense. I'm not sure if they're still there. But the tallest ones were perhaps roughly half a kilometer.
Okay. Um, I mean, what do you mean you're not sure if they're still there? Are you saying you're not sure if there are still cities inside Venus?
Yes.
How would you? Why don't you know that? I mean, should you're from Venus? Shouldn't you know whether there are underground cities?
I'm not sure if they still exist or if they've been vanished.
You mean because you're in the fourth dimension?
We are not longer on Venus.
Oh, right, right. Okay. Um. 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 um so, how long is your personal lifespan in
A
terms of?
few hundred years.
Okay. Um. So, what did like on your ship? I mean, are you allowed to say like what you guys are involved in? I mean, are you just kind of exploring the universe, or what? What do you guys do?
Again, we do something like trading, commerce. We are also creating offshoots. We're always researching how to make life easier, better for most people in society. So a lot of technical research is what our society is focused upon, as well as exploration and commerce with other civilization.
Okay. So about the people still living on or in Venus, are you aware if there are any other intelligent species that live alongside them in the third dimension?
Likely on a certain dimension, no. Dimensionality is likely.
Okay. Um, I mean, you said earlier you consider yourself to be a Venusian. Can you say what you hope for the future of the Venusian civilization? Like, what are you striving towards for your people?
We don't necessarily need to return to the solar system unless it's your own planet or others in the solar system would again be open for hospitality. I hope we seed other worlds and we spread perhaps also to make it safer for all of civilization in case some of the planets would go through cataclysm again. There's some sadness still involved as I'm aware of, whole civilization of the cataclysm of this particular planet we call Venus. So therefore I hope that we will have safety nets in terms of having other planetary structures so our civilization will survive by all means and thrive and flourish and obviously also advance and overcome our internal challenges.
Okay. So why don't you or anybody else just terraform the surface of Venus to return it to the way it was before the cataclysm? Is it just not possible?
It is just much easier to recreate our civilization somewhere else compared to a planet that's in the current condition that Venus is, especially with its location.
Okay. Um, so about your people in particular, are you allowed to say what system you're mainly located in?
Well, we're on a neighboring system to yours, a Centauri system.
Oh, cool. Cool. Awesome. I would love to visit there. Yeah, it's so do you live on any particular planet or do you mainly live on your ship?
I mainly live on my ship, but I have perhaps what you would consider living space on one particular planet, yes.
Cool.